Welcome back to the EU Decoded podcast, and today we're excited to bring you a debate on small and medium-sized enterprises in Europe, moderated by EPP Group member Jörgen Warborn. Stay tuned and don't forget to like and share our podcast.
Welcome to this episode of the SME Europe podcast. SME Europe is the EPP organization. It's the biggest organization for small and medium-sized enterprises. We're trying to improve the situation for small and medium-sized enterprises, of course within the parliament, and all of us are parliamentarians here in the European Parliament, but we also have linkages to member states and to the parliaments and to politicians, and of course to SMEs around all the member states of the European Union. So we are trying to be a very strong voice for SMEs around Europe. We are here together with the board members of SME Europe. We have Eva Maydell. Eva is the vice coordinator in the industry committee. We have Aura Salla, who is also a very hardworking member in the industry committee. We have our co-chairs in the SME circle, Marion Walsmann, not least in the jury committee, and we have Niels Flemming Hansen also from the industry committee, not least. Welcome, everyone. Very good to have you here.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you.
First of all, let's discuss what has recently happened in the Parliament. We have had a lot of issues that is important for small and medium-sized enterprises. Anyone would like to dive into, for example, the omnibus package or the competitiveness compass? Marion, maybe?
Yes, of course. Thank you, Jörgen. You mentioned the competitive compass. What is it? The competitiveness compass based on recommendation from the economist Mario Draghi. And it identifies the actions needed to boost the EU competitive standing on the global stage. And it is one of the issues what was mentioned in the last weeks in every session, in every meeting. And we have to discuss what are the things we have to change. And remember, at Davos 2025, the European Commission President Ursula von der Leyen announced a new roadmap of the EU. And in this new roadmap, in the center, is this competitive compass. And that's some components. And these components we have to discuss, and we have to organize meetings with our SMEs in Europe. What should we change to achieve lost bureaucracy and better working condition for the employments?
Niels Flemming Hansen, what do you say?
Thank you. Well, I think that you're touching upon something very important here. What is also important is that we have the competitive compass, and then we have the omnibus, two different things. But a lot of it is the same as well. So I think what we need to find out in Europe is what is our blue ocean? What do we need to develop a lot on? We're discussing a lot on green transition. And in some countries, they're talking a lot less about the green transition. I think this is something that we should revolve and look into, and how can we boost that as being our blue ocean?
I'd like to add the fact that we now have a competitiveness compass. I think that is a very good thing, because I remember at the start of the last mandate when I was a newly elected member, and competitiveness was not really on the agenda. So I think it is a very good thing that we actually are speaking about competitiveness and how we can improve the situation for small and medium-sized enterprises. That is the first step, and I'd like to acknowledge the fact that the Commission now is pushing this. There are two big things from the Commission. It's competitiveness and it's security. And I think we European institutions are on the right track. We're speaking about the right issues. And of course, from the SME Europe, we are pushing these issues even further. Aura, you would like to jump into on this?
This might not be so popular comment, but I have to say that I think we have focused a lot on SMEs in recent decade. The problem is that we are not focusing that much on our mid-caps and scale-ups. And of course, the aim of these SMEs that we are here also promoting is to become scale-ups and big companies, right? So there are a couple of things where the Commission didn't get this right, I think. There are still too many reporting obligations. And also, if you're looking at many of the regulatory packages, it might target bigger companies. But isn't the aim of these SMEs that they will scale up and grow? So they need to have this, everything in place when they grow that they can report back. So this is one note that I would like to make. And then also, we are still lacking of risk financing in the EU. We all know that we are leaning towards bank loans too much. So this is one thing that I would like to highlight. And what SMEs are saying throughout the continent is that they need talent. They need to have talent also from outside of the EU and make sure that brain drain doesn't happen in this continent. Let's go deeper in many of these, I'm sure, in this conversation.
Very good. I couldn't agree more. Reporting issues, finance issues, and issues regarding talents. That's what we need to focus on. Anyone that would like to comment any of these?
Remember,
Marion.
I spoke about Mario Draghi, and he mentioned one thing, and that's in the life of our small and medium-sized enterprises. 30,000 legislative acts in the last period. That's 7 per day. That is too much, and it shows the bureaucracy of our institutions. That's too much for small and medium entrepreneurs. And if you look in our practice, some of most of the small and medium-sized enterprises are between 10 and 50 workers, and I think we have this question of bureaucracy, too much bureaucracy in the middle of our interest.
I think what we are also trying to say here as SME Europe is basically that over the past couple of years, all those many legislative files, they have become too prescriptive and too detailed. So you can chart a part of what do you want to achieve and where do you want to get European economy, but you don't necessarily need to do it in such a prescriptive way. And I'm glad that the EPP approach has been not just towards simplification, but also more meaningfulness, giving the companies to figure out their own innovations giving the companies their own way to innovate in order to grow, and not prescribing how that innovation should exactly happen.
Very true, Eva. Niels Flemming.
I think you touched upon something very, very good before, because you touched upon getting the right people at the right time for the right jobs. And that is of great importance. I used to run my own business before I entered politics. Now my wife runs it, and it does a lot better now. And I have to be quite honest, finding the right people for the jobs is a huge problem. For us, it hit with Corona. When that hit us and hit Europe, getting back afterwards was really, really hard concerning getting the right people. And one of the issues is that you hire people for jobs which they're not trained to. So you simply pay too much to test something, and you spend way too much money, and you throw a lot of money out that way. So we really need to look into education and education throughout your whole life, and not just something you do before you start working. I think that is of great importance if we want to keep a balance getting workers into our companies, no matter what companies they are.
I agree. But I'm not totally sure that all of the education, and you're probably not suggesting this, that all of the education should be governed from the European Union.
No.
It's of course a member state issue.
Yeah.
But what the European Union has a very important role to play is of course in the internal market. To make sure that we can attract talents from each other. And we all know that the internal market is, I would say it's a crown jewel of the entire European Union, but it is not yet functioning in every sense it should be. With all the international turbulence that we have at the moment, we have to push the internal market even harder, to integrate it more. I think, Aura, you spoke about the financial situation. That is, of course, one part. The talent is another part. There is a lot of things that we can do to improve the internal market.
I mean, after all,
Please, Eva Maydell.
After all, the internal market is our biggest strength as a continent. And I think it would be foolish not to fully remove as many as possible little obstacles that are there. That would only help the economy and the business. So indeed, more focus on how to remove. And sometimes it happens through legislation, but that's exactly the sort of legislation that we need, that enables and removes those barriers in order for our companies to scale.
Exactly.
Eva,
And
yeah.
I would say the harmonization is the key word here for the single market. And also I'm looking forward to Commission's proposal on this 28 regime, which means that companies can enter this market. However, I am worried how they will balance it, because some of these decisions will require unanimous decision making if they are asking on labor law or, harmonizing some of the taxation, so that will be difficult. However, when there is a will, there is a way, right? So looking forward to seeing how our SMEs can grow quicker in the whole market.
Very good, Aura. And, we from EPP, we have pushed the one in, one out principle. We now have it, actually. It was quite a fight with the Commission, but now they are working with the one in, one out principle, which is excellent. What we have promised our voters is that we should now push for the one in, two out principle. And of course, listeners might know this or not, but it's about the cost for businesses, basically. You calculate the cost for a new piece of legislation, and that's the one in, that's a cost for businesses. But with the one in, one out principle, the Commission proposes to cut back the same amount, one in, one out. It will be cost neutral for the business when it comes to administrative burden. Fantastic. And EPP, we think this is good, but not enough. We are saying one in, two out, meaning that for each euro you add, you should withdraw 2 euros. That's how you step by step increase the competitiveness of Europe. And, we have spoken about this before. We should push for one in, 27 out.
There you go.
Because that is really the harmonization. You have 27 different member state rules, and if you harmonize that into one rules, then you truly have simplified for businesses. Niels Flemming.
Well, I love when you say that one in, 27 out. So, and I think it's good. I also think it might be a bit unrealistic in some points.
I agree.
Speaking about the labor market, which we were talking about just before. So in my country, I used to work with this. There are, on the labor legislation, there are 28,000 different laws. 28,000. Imagine navigating in that. So everybody needs to do a serious cleanup. I think that would be a very, very good issue. And if we can help them tell which detergency they need to use when they clean up, that might be good. But we need to make it simpler for our customers to do business with us. And right now, these customers can be our countries, 27 of them. How do we harmonize things? And I think there are ways to be done, but I'm not saying it's going to be easy.
It's most likely not going to be easy. The first omnibus package is about simplification when it comes to mainly reporting on sustainable issues. That's the CSDDD, the CSRD, the taxonomy, and hopefully the CBAM as well. A lot of acronyms that maybe not all listeners are following, but basically this is what we have been waiting for, right?
I think the reporting is the main issue. It must be easier. And we have tools from KI and such other technologies we can use and make it easier to fill in. And I have a talk to European business at last, and they show me that he has to fill in more than 100 pages for a financial investment. It's too much, I think, and it's not necessary in our time. We must be quicker and efficiently and so on.
Very good.
In our company, we have one person hired to do reporting. One person, and that salary goes directly to the bottom line of the company. So that is a lot of expenses that we use on that. We are in retail, so I can tell you the money that we make are very, very small. So the only ones who are happy with these legislation, that is lawyers and accountants.
I think it's very simple. Aura.
Thank you. So I fully agree on this, and I hope that we see much better proposals this term from the Commission, or not new proposals at all. But one thing that market doesn't like is that if we have uncertainty, and this is where we got this all wrong, is now that we are pulling back some of these obligations that we ourselves put there, right? So I'm fully there with you that we need to cut reporting and also withdraw some of the legislation. I would say I wouldn't shine away from deregulation either. However, when the companies already put places on this kind of one person who are dealing with reporting, we need to be careful how we do this, right? And what is the time frame and so on. But one thing that the Commission got right definitely is that they withdraw some of the regulations that were put in the pipeline that were not yet decided by the co-legislators. So that is a good way of withdrawing some unfortunate proposals, and hopefully also of course these reporting obligations. But this market needs also certainty.
Yeah, sure. Eva?
I was just going to make maybe a little bit of a general comment what we as EPP and SME Europe stand for. And speaking about the reporting obligation and how companies have to, a small company allocating one professional just to do reporting, the more you're bogged down in reporting obligations, the more you have to fill in paperwork, the less time you have to create, the less time you have to think about your next step as an entrepreneur, as a business. And hence we end up widening the gap for innovation. So if we look at it this way, we as EPP, I think, very clearly know where we stand, and we've stood there for quite a while, that we want to make it easier for those that have ideas to bring them to the market. But it's not always been easy to collaborate in the Parliament. I think it's important for the purpose of this conversation to explain that there are various groups in the European Parliament, and some of them stand for more obligations and for more reporting because they believe they would better protect society. We, in the same time, think we need to somehow find the right balance, make sure our citizens are protected, or consumers or customers, but in the same time make it possible for companies to be able to do what they're there for, to do business.
But Eva, you said it also earlier correctly. I think that the targets should be there, right? But then we leave also this to the companies, our business, to decide or the nitty-gritty details. And this is definitely where the EPP stands.
There's no doubt we need to leave the targets, and then we have to see if there are other ways towards the targets that we can take. Do we have a roundabout or something we have to drive through to get there? But I think, going back to what you just said before, Eva, that yes, there are parties to the right of us who just want to tear the whole thing down. And there are parties way to the left who say, okay, we take all the legislation that we have and we keep it because we don't want to change anything. So we, together with one or two other parties, are the defining parties in Europe and regarding how do we look forward. Because there has to be a balance between what do we legislate on and what can we take back. But also there needs to be some rules or else it'll be Wild West, and we can't have that either.
Very good. So from SME Europe, we are pushing an agenda that will facilitate things for SMEs, and we are going to do a reality check on some pieces of legislation. But the goals for emissions, it stands basically. That's probably the message here. Okay, that was a bit of a segment on the on issues in the Parliament recently, but there has happened things outside the Parliament as well. We have had the Davos meeting, we have had the Munich Security Conference, and there is a lot of issues regarding the relationship the European Union has with the United States after Trump came back in the administration. What do you say about the current situation? Eva, you were in Davos. What's on your mind from that?
Yeah, well, I think
meetings?
first of all, I think that in Europe we understand the shifts and the times have changed. I think what's important for us to figure out is, are we in the era of strategic competition over collaboration, and where do we stand, and what does this mean for our continent, but also in particular for this conversation, for our SMEs. These are certainly, I think we are living through some tectonic shifts in global politics, but also when it comes to technologies as well, which is a topic that I work primarily within the industry committee. I think it would be helpful if we look in an optimistic manner where those geopolitical challenges bring us. And I think they bring us to the point where we need to see this as some sort of a chance for Europe to think more strategically and to ask ourselves the question, what do we want to achieve? What is our goal? And achieving that goal, I think it goes beyond just labeling it, we want more competitiveness. I think it goes through answering certain questions. Are we in that race? Do we want to follow that race? Because it's a race about who develops certain technologies first. Are we going to be the one that follow and replicate? Or is it much better for us to stop obsessing with our weaknesses and follow our strengths and see where our strengths as a European continent are. But that requires, I think, the understanding basically how to adapt our European economy to those new technological developments and the new technological revolution, which is ongoing and keeps with a stronger and faster pace. And answer the question, what does this mean for our startups? What does it mean for our scale-ups and for our industry? And this is where I think if we believe we have a strong industry in Europe, if it's one of those areas where we are strong, I think first and foremost we need to ensure that our startups, our innovations effectively contribute to modernizing our traditional industry. Right now we see a very big disconnect by those that develop, usually startup companies. They fail to systematically integrate their solutions into the established industrial sector. I think without this connection being strengthened, being worked on, the productivity and competitiveness will remain limited at our continent. The second point links to funding, which was already mentioned. Developing some of the more advanced startups, particularly in the AI space, has to have certain structured pathways for integrating those innovations, again, to scale into the broader economy. So I think if we manage to achieve those two, linking the technological advanced startups with industry, ensuring that there is capital for scaling, because this is the one area which is very clearly shown in all the reports that are out there where we've missed an opportunity to help companies to scale. I think we can lay some sort of a good foundation where European SMEs and the economy as a whole can, adapt to the new wave of technological revolution. Tech is not just for tech. Tech is to empower our industry.
Well said. Aura, you were in Munich as well.
I was in Munich, and I have to say that I have a quite gloomy perspective now to our economy and security situation. Also coming from Finland and coming from the big tech world. Putin said 10 years ago that who is winning AI race will win the world. And Europe is definitely losing this game. There are a couple of things. We don't have data. We don't have that risk financing. We are lacking of talent and we are lacking of single market. And we have over-regulated our market. And that's why I'm also entering to politics this term, because I really want to change this. And I think SME Europe is in the right path here also. The thing is that we need this tech ecosystem with the United States because it requires a lot of data. And I'm speaking about metadata and traffic data, not personal data. That's secured if you are looking at the GDPR and so on. But the thing is that we need to do this in cooperation, no matter who is in the White House in the US, right? But at the same time, we need to secure Ukraine's win. And that will require immediate capabilities to Ukraine. And let's see what kind of talks we will see today. But Europe needs to be able to deliver. Like I'm talking about hardware warfare now to Ukraine immediately. And then we need to look at member states. And these were the debates we were having in Munich, right? So it requires cooperation within companies, SMEs, bigger companies, our industry, and then our national states, as well as with the European Union, to make sure that war ends in this continent and we can move beyond that.
Mm-hmm. Very true. Marion?
I have a short but clear headline. I have you seen in Munich and you in Davos, and I think it is time that we will react to protect the interests of European businesses. And that's the main task for us. And it's not only the businesses, only in addition the workers and the consumers. And we have to protect them from unjustified measures. And that's our main task. And the single market, you mentioned it, that's our success. Yeah, the biggest success we have. It is a force of us, and we have the single market and the trade relations from the single market in the world. It is a great chance for us, but the rules must be clear, and we have to win a good standing also with the government of the USA.
Niels Flemming.
Yes, so there are a couple of things here. If you look towards European economy, and if you look at the economy in the Nordic countries, it's good. The economy in the Nordic countries is good, and it's been good for a long time, and you can equal it to the US economy and see how it grows. The reason it grows is that in the Nordic countries, we had the balls, we dared to take chances, we dared to invest. Some countries don't dare to invest. If I look countries south of the border to Denmark, I'm not mentioning any names, but it's not 5 years ago when I could visit part of that country where I'm not able to pay with my card. It's not many years ago that you could go into hotels and not have Wi-Fi. Those are simple and small things, but it shows that we dare to invest, and we need to do that. But regarding the issues on the US, I need to. I'm going over there next week, so I'd love to come back in the next podcast and talk about it. But what I think we're looking into is that we're looking into a bully who's sitting in the White House and driving politics like he was driving a business. So when he tells a country that he could be telling Denmark we want to buy Greenland. He could be telling Panama to that we want the Panama Canal. He's kicking in opening doors. That's what he's doing. I mean, look at the trade relations with Mexico and with Canada. He told the Mexicans, step up on the border and or else you get tariffs. So they stepped out at the border. But that was decided under the Biden administration. It's an open door that he's kicking in. So in Denmark we have a fairy tale on the big wolf that blows and blows and blows, but the house don't fall down. It's kind of the same thing here. I don't think we should be that worried. Of course, we should be worried, but not that worried. Last time I went to the US was in February last year, before the European election. And back then, and when Trump was in house last time, I was in Danish politics, and the institution worked. The cooperations between the institutions in Europe and in the US, it worked fine. Now he has this Heritage Foundation people sitting there. So last time I visited them, I think their words were that they were very happy that we in Denmark now reached 2% of our GDP to defense. Now they wanted 3.5%, 4%, and I think one even mentioned 4.5%. And then, by the way, they still wanted us that 80% of what we bought should be American. So that is the big issue here for the next years, because we will ramp up our GDP towards the military. We need that, and every country in Europe needs that. Will we buy more American? No, I don't think so. I think that we will look more into how can we buy more European with a fool sitting at the White House, because we're not trusting it. And I think that is one of the things that the way to go. But I would love to discuss that next time, because coming back from their meeting with the government and the opposition, the think tanks, and for all the young people in the universities, then we have more of a clear idea of what is going on over there. Because right now we're just listening to Donald Trump, and that's usually very many words, but not a lot of action.
From my side, I'm not that surprised that we now are hit with tariffs. Of course, this was something that Trump mentioned during the campaign trail. That is something he has said after the election, after his inauguration, and that he now comes with that. That goes into some kind of that's his mindset. Tariffs are good. He says that is the most beautiful word in the dictionary, I think he said. I'm on the opposite view than Trump. I think we should have no tariffs, and we should have a lot of competition. And if we have a market that functions well, and we have SMEs that compete with each other, and we have customers that buy from the best company, and that's how you create the best market without much involvement from politicians in the terms of tariffs. Unfortunately, we have the situation we have. And of course, this is not good for European SMEs. It will hurt European SMEs that do business in the US. So I think we will need to find a response, a proportionate response to the tariffs. And hopefully once that is in place, then we will end up in negotiations. Because what I've understood, Trump, he likes to do deals. And hopefully we can do a good deal after that. That will mean that SMEs will be protected, that SMEs will still be able to do businesses in the US. I think we should try to summarize this discussions. And I was walking here together with Eva. And I'd like to pick up something you said to me, and I'd like you to comment it, being on the more positive side on the message here, because we have a lot of good things in Europe as well, and it's important to remind ourselves that not being always on the negative side of the argument. And we are speaking about competitiveness now. We didn't do that before. This is a turning point, I hope. What do you say, Eva? Do we have a lot of strength in Europe, and can we build on that?
I mean, absolutely. And I think we need to be projecting that confidence. I kind of currently feel there's one narrative, and because it's loud, clear, it's there to stay for 4 years. We've been shining out of the spotlight into showing what our strengths are. We should not forget that our American partners have some aims that require them to have Europe as a partner. One of their aims is, being better equipped, winning any type of war or race with China. They can't do it without us. It's simply not going to work. They can't do it with Putin. So they need us. And I think we need to more often play to our strength. We have a global trade surplus. We have experts of chemicals, machinery, one of the best in the world. I think we need to look into our strength because the more we project insecurity and are dwelled into our own problems, it would be difficult to convince the world that we are open for business. And so making sure that we make it easier for companies to invest, to attract them over here, making sure that not just one part of Europe grows, not just the Nordics, but the rest of Europe also finds the right way for economic prosperity would make a lot of sense. I think we are way stronger than we think we are. And it's important to play to those strengths, I believe, at these times, without being delusional, of course, and also accepting and admitting past mistakes. We need to be self-aware of what we did wrong as European Union. Only by admitting that, we are able to chart a path that makes sense for our businesses. So I would like to see that self-awareness for the Commission in order for all of us to trust that we are in safe hands. So I wish luck to the Commission to be able to deliver on these high expectations. And by the way, I think they're a little bit too high. I think we should also have expectations from member states because Europe used to be about the bigger picture and big topics. We want to take it out of the nitty-gritty, but it would go only through accepting that we did few things wrong. Not necessarily us, because I believe we've always been standing on the right side of the way we should make policy as EPP Group, but the Union as a whole.
Aura, you're positive.
Yeah, I'm trying to find something positive. No, I would like to say that I hope that Trump realizes that much bigger word is trade and free trade, because this is something that we need. And I know where the US stands right now, but still I see them as our Western ally. And we need to see them as like that because they are part of NATO. And let's be honest, we need them in Ukraine right now. So we need to find the way forward right now. In Europe, we have great engineering work. We have great manufacturing. Let's not forget that. We have really hungry, young, small companies that wants to scale up and grow. And that's why we are here to make their path easier. I also see the value of European Investment Bank and Investment Fund. And now with the new Invest AI Fund, for example, that it's trying to leverage private financing to our companies who are developing this high tech. So there are good things, definitely. So let's us keep positive attitude now.
Very good. Marion, do you want to come in?
Yes. I think it's necessary that the member states learn to stay close together in these times.
Exactly.
And that's necessary to secure our achievements. And we have the best, you said it, the best engineers, the best manufacturers. And we have very good universities. And we have all that what we need to be successful in the future, but we have to feel our power and to use our strength, and that's necessary.
Yes, I think that absolutely. All of you are very right. Jörgen, you started with saying 1 in, 27 out, and I love that sentence. And it brings me to my conclusion is that we in Europe as countries need to find out what do we want to do with this thing called Europe. And how far are we ready to go to protect this thing called Europe? Because right now we are 27 individual countries who do some work together. But we're in a car, and I think we should see how long can we drive together. Because it's very, very important that we stick together in these defined moments in time to stand against people trying to tell us that we are not good enough. So I think that is very important. How far can we go together?
Excellent, colleagues. This was the first episode of the SME Europe's podcast. We ended on a positive note. We have to stay united within the European Union. And of course, we, Friends of SME, have to stay united as well to work for facilitating the situation for small and medium-sized enterprises. So thank you very much, Eva Maydell, Aura Salla, Marion Walsmann, and Niels Flemming Hansen.
That's all for today. To stay updated on the latest in EU politics, follow us on social media and visit our website at eppgroup.eu. Thanks for listening.